Okay guys, this is a short tutorial designed to show you what to do after you finish all of the Scratch tutorials. We're going to be going on to the Super Scratch Programming Adventure book. First we need to do is find the folder that contains that and put it someplace where we can work with it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to want to do is go to the bottom left hand corner of our screen and click on the Windows Start button. That brings up our Start menu. Next, we're going to come up to the right-hand side of this menu and select this PC. When this opens up, we want to go ahead and come down to the area where it says Network Locations. You should see two drives down here. One should have your special student ID number, followed by the letter H, and then one should have the words Comp Science. So go ahead and open up Comp Science. Then you should see a number of things in there, including a Scratch folder. Go ahead and double-click on the Scratch folder. And then let's move this window over to the right-hand side a little bit so that we can make room for another window. Okay? Next, let's go back to the Windows Start button. Let's go up to this PC again. Let's move this window over to the left. And now this time, let's find the other drive under Network Locations. Remember, it's going to be your special student ID number. So go ahead and double-click on that. And then what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to come over to the right-hand side window and find the window that says Super Scratch Programming Adventure. And then we're going to simply drag that whole folder over to the window on the other side and let go. And this is going to copy it over. Now, once it's done, we no longer need the comp sci drive anymore, so we can X out of that. And we can focus on our H drive window. Now, one of the things you can do is you can come up and you can go to View, and you can change the size of the icons. So I'll go to large icons for a moment. And here are the three items that I have in here. What I want to do next is I want to change the name of Super Scratch Programming Adventure Unit by one word. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right-click on it. I'm going to go down to Rename. I'm going to come up and click right at the beginning of it. And then I'm just going to type the word My. And then I'm going to click away from it. And then this way I'll be able to differentiate between the version of this folder that I have on my H drive and the one that's still on the Comp Sci drive. So once you have done that, go ahead and double click on it to open it up. And you'll see what's on here. So we got a number of things on here. First, we've got project videos. This is a folder that contains short videos of each of the games that we're going to be creating. What you want to do is you want to watch each of these videos before you code that particular project. So for instance, the first one you're going to do is Space, so you'd want to open that up and take a look at it so that you can see what it's going to look like when it's done. And it's just a very short clip, and it just shows playing the game, and just to give you an idea of what it's supposed to look like when it's done. So I have one of those for each of the projects. Okay, so that's the project videos. Next, in the Sprites and Sounds folder, you have a number of folders that contain all the sprites and sounds that you're going to need for all of the projects. Each project has its own folder, and inside of it you can see it has sound files, it has sprite files, everything you need for each project. Next is the book, and I want to take a second and talk about that. This is what we're going to be working from. Now currently this is showing as Google Chrome as the program that's going to open this. We don't want this. I thought I'd set my Adobe programmed up to open this, but I guess it didn't take. So I'll just use this as a teachable moment. What we want to do is we want to right-click on the book, that is with our right mouse button, and then when the menu comes out, let's go down to the bottom and select Properties. Underneath here where it says Type of File, click the Change button. Select Adobe Acrobat Reader DC, click OK, and then click OK. And that changes the file type to Adobe, or at least the program that's going to open it. Okay, So let's go ahead and double click on this book, Super Scratch Programming Adventure. It's going to open up, and there's going to be a couple of things we're going to need to do. First, let's go ahead and get rid of this side pane by clicking on this little arrow right here. Next, we want to set up our screen so that it doesn't show 2 pages at a time. I'm scrolling down, as you can see. So I want to set it up so it only shows 1 page at a time. To do this, I go up to View, Page Display, Single Page View, and now it just shows 1 page at a time. Next, I want to set it up so that when I use the scroll button on my mouse, instead of it going from 1 page to the next, it scrolls down the page. So to do that, we go back up to View, we go down to Page Display, and then we go to Enable Scrolling. And now, instead of it switching pages, it'll let me just scroll down slowly. All right. Next, over here on the left-hand side, we have a bookmark. If you click on that, it shows you bookmarks to the various projects that we're going to be doing. 8 total. The very first one we're going to do is space, so we can click on this to go there right away. Click on puzzle. You can see you can get to all of them just with a short click. Well, once you find the one you want, let's go ahead and collapse this. You can always bring it back out by clicking on the arrow again and then clicking on the bookmarks again. It'll take you where you want to go. All right, so once you've got the book open, you're going to want to resize it so you can do a split screen deal like we have been doing with our tutorials. So I'm just going to go ahead and drag this over to the side, and I'm going to bring up Scratch on the other side. Okay, so now I've got my program showing. I'm going to click this button right here to make my Scratch window a little smaller so I can see more of the code over here. And all right, let's get started. So one of the things that is different in using the book rather than the movies that we were doing is that you're going to have to do a little reading. You're going to have to read not only the instructions that the book has, but also the notes in red that I've given you. Okay, and if you notice, I'm saying that these sprites and images can be found on the comp sci drive or your H drive if you've copied them there, and we've done that. So we'll be looking for them on our H drive. So the very first character we want to get is Scratchy the Astronaut. Now, to get Scratchy the Astronaut, we are going to come on over and see over here we've been using the library thus far to get our new sprites. We're not going to be doing that for these projects. Instead, we're going to be uploading a sprite from a file. So we click on this button. Now we got to go to our H drive. So let's find it. Now we got to go to our Super Scratch Programming Adventure folder. Double click on that. Go to Sprites and Sounds, and because we're doing Project SS-2 space, we double click on that, and this has all the sprites we need. So we're going to bring in AstroCat. I just double clicked on it. Notice I've got AstroCat in there now. Make this bigger for a second until we do the coding. And I no longer need this Scratchy. So we've got our first sprite. So next, we want to bring in our next sprite. And our next sprite is this one. It's called the string. So I'm going to come back up to Upload Sprite from File, and I'm going to look for string. I'm going to double click on that, and now we've got our string sprite. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to be adding a costume to our string, and that costume is going to be called Monolith. So what we need to do is come over to Costumes, the Costumes tab, and then we're going to click Upload Costume from File, and we're going to find the Monolith. Double click on that, and now we have the monolith that's a costume of the string. All right, next we're going to add our lightning sprite. So we're going to come back down here because it's a separate sprite. Click on Upload from File, Lightning. We'll do the same with the banner that has the instructions. Upload from File, Banner. And then we're going to upload the backdrop. In this instance, it's called Quasar. So let's go over to Stage, then come up to Backdrop, and then Upload from File. Let's find Quasar, double click on that, that brings it up. We no longer need the white one, we'll get rid of that. And now we've got all the sprites that we need, and you can reposition them if necessary. All right. So at this point, it's probably a good idea to save our file. I'll give it a name at least. SS-2 space. Click Save Now. All right, so now it's time to start adding the code. Now, please notice that I have given you a note, code for the AstroCat sprite. This lets you know which sprite you're coding. So we need to make sure we have AstroCat selected. We'll go to Scripts, and this is the code that we are going to be putting in. Now please notice that for this particular sprite, there are 4 separate scripts. Here's the first one, here's the second one, here's the third one, and here's the fourth one. They're even numbered. And we don't switch to another sprite until we're told to. So for instance, down here where it says code for the banner sprite, this is for the banner sprite. It's no longer for Scratchy. So you would click on the banner sprite, and then you would code that in there. And that is essentially how this works. I give you notes about which sprite you're supposed to be working on, and we have all of the sprites and sounds for you in the folder. So, all right. So now you know what you need to know to get going on this. Let's see how you do.